we doing here exactly? I mean, I know why we're here. I'm just questioning is now like you just did a ban list a month ago, like a month and a half. Why do it now? I mean, you could call this an emergency ban list, except ban lists don't have release dates anymore. So it's just the ban list is here. Yeah, you heard that. I know it's hard to believe because no one thought we'd get a ban list now, even though no people wanted it. It just to me just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Though full disclosure, I haven't been fully Yu-Gi-Oh focused lately as my big BCS for Vanguard is coming up in December, so I've had to focus on that more. But I am aware we are in a tier 0 format, and this list we'll talk about it. Let's dive right in, shall we, with the first hit. Curious the Lightsworn Dominion. I don't know what a Dominion is. I personally have never liked this card, but in the grand scheme of things, no one's used this thing lately. Like, it was really powerful like a month ago, but it kind of fell out of favor. So it's just kind of like, did y'all just make this note after the last ban list and never took it off the chalkboard? But now we have the big thing. They did it. They banned Mystic Mine. That's right. I'm so happy. Can y'all tell I genuinely hated this card and felt like it wasn't a necessary evil in a game that is ruled by degenerate monster effects, and we're currently in a format where degenerate monster effects are the fucking problem? I'm so happy this card is gone. And now you can just go back to just going full 40 card monster combo bullshit without having to factor in deck your opponent's doing until games 2 and 3. How big can those tier limit chain links go again? World of the Orange Light. I mean, I guess the utility this card has, if I'm correct, it is searchable and being able to also dump tiers depending on the hand. And, the card definitely, unlike other hand traps like Valor and Imperm that negate monster effects that are just kind of in your deck. Like, yeah, some decks can like search Valor and do things of that shenanigans like that, but a card that like fits that well into such a powerful archetype and strategy right now probably isn't okay, but this is kind of where the problem with doing a ban list so close after the last one is I do genuinely feel sorry for people who are picking this card up and paying the overinflated prices, and even trying to get the supers was actually kind of crazy. And it was all just for fucking nothing because now it's limited. And this isn't like, because obviously every 3 months is when we usually start worrying about ban lists, and you do take the risk at that point. Here you just kind of got fucked, and I'm just kind of like, okay. Then we move on. Other limits. Is that it? Was that it? Yeah, that's it. Just Herald of the Orange Light. I sure hope there isn't a whole plethora of really dumb, degenerate strategies you've never addressed that are still really obnoxious that could have used the limit hit, Konami. Speaking of things that I thought never should have had the limit hit, Lyricless Recital Starling is back at 2. This card does a lot of cool shit, but for the most part, I never felt the Lyricless package was the problem. It was always the Tri Brigades, and they hit the wrong thing, and that was a problem because that stupid Legendary Duelist set was just clogging space in every card shop. And with this thing getting hit, like, it really became Baron or bust, which most people just avoided at that point. So at that point, it's kind of like, I never thought this thing should have been hit, but I guess putting it to 2 is all right. Also, Desires is still at 2. Why is that shit just not back at 3? And then we move on to where things do actually get kind of fun. I won't lie. Teller Knight Ptolemaeus is back in this game. For those of you who don't know, the big strategy with this thing was it allowed rank 4 decks to go into Pallades. I'm sure there was other weird combos with this thing, but this is kind of a neat card. I don't think it's going to be super useful right now, but I think they've had this back in the OCG for like ever, and it doesn't do anything, so it's probably better we get it back. Defissure and Macro are at 3. I won't lie, that's kind of fucking cool. I love these cards personally. I used them in Pure Thunder back in like 2019 when I got my Nats invite, and they were a big part of the strategy. And I've been sitting on that fucking Nats invite ever since because the world hates me. But seeing these things go to 3 does have the potential to be kind of nuts. Or not, because this is their way for us to combat tier. And it's kind of like, it's sort of like what I was saying with Valor and Imperm a couple minutes ago. You have to draw these things. You have to draw them and hope they somehow don't get blown up. It's cool and like it could be super important, but this could be one of those things where I could see it easily going either way, either really powerful and really good, or also just kind of like, because like they're just kind of there. Was it Macro got the re-release in that new GX box or the next GX box for Speed Duel, so maybe this is to sell that, but I'm just kind of like, all right. Fire Formation-TENKI is back at 3. Rhoda is not. I know they're not entirely the same thing, but it's funnier for me to hold on to this vengeance. So that's my thoughts on that. And finally, Metaverse went to 3. I mean, no more Mystic Mine, I guess. Though it would be funny to Metaverse out a Necro Valley against the opponent. So yeah, that is this ban list. And my quick thoughts before we go all our separate ways is this is bullshit. I don't like this list at all. There's a couple things in here I agree with, but it's just like, motherfucker, it was a month and a half. Even less if you just think of it in terms of when the Ishizu stuff came here. Yeah, I know it's tier 0 levels at YCSs, but the fucking tiers didn't get hit. Okay, like, let's call this what this is. You hit a couple of their extras annoying things, but like none of the tiers themselves, which is the problem because it's so easy to utilize all of them. It's so easy to get them in the grave and then activate their effects and then fuse and then do this and do that. That's the problem. The problem isn't shit like Curious or other stuff. Now I'm just blanking. The problem wasn't those things. Like, the issue is just how much the deck can keep going and Yu-Gi-Oh's obsession to keep producing archetypes that keep this pattern and trend going. Like, you need a fundamental rework of how you approach deck building to stop card design when dealing with things like tier and how we end up in these bullshit formats. Otherwise, it's going to happen again. And the problem is, because now Power of the Elements is apparently getting a second wave, and then you've already said a tier is getting an ulti in an OTS pack, and if we want to even go further, you'll probably want to sell a reprint set with tiers later. We are potentially stuck with this shit for a very long time. So that is why you can't hit it now or directly address it. You just kind of have to go around the periphery. And at that point, why even do this a month from now? Like, why not get through Costa Rica and the remote duel? And I actually have no idea what this food drive tournament thing is. It sounds really cool, but I can't comment on that. But it's just kind of like, what is the point? Like, if that's the case, why not just hold out to your big ban list you always do at the beginning of the year right before competitive starts up, and then use that list to take care of a lot of these hits? And then you can include extra stuff that will actually fucking matter. Like, this is genuinely just a waste of time. And it's like, I don't like it. And again, I think even like banning Mystic Mine is just to like improve morale. People are bitching about hating this card, and they're bitching about not playing this format, which aka means not spending money on Yu-Gi-Oh right now. So like doing stuff like this or hitting stuff that was a problem like a month ago with Curious, I feel like is just to appeal to those people who just like think of the ban list as this weird divine force for improving their life. Which, side note, I'm not one of those people. But yeah, that's this ban list. I know I'm being pretty negative about it. I'm sure a lot of people like it just because of the Mystic Mine hit, but give me your thoughts about it in the comment section below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for seeing if tier will still be tier 0. It is!